Black woman pushed into a $50,000 champagne tower, and just seconds later, the entire crowd begged for forgiveness. Before we dive into this story, drop your city or country in the comments. Let's see how far this one travels. And if you're new here, hit subscribe for more real stories that prove karma never misses. It started like any other company celebration: laughter, music, expensive smiles. But what could possibly turn a night of glamour into a moment of regret and shock? Stay until the end, because what happened after that push left an entire rooftop speechless. The rooftop glowed beneath the city lights. Music pulsed through the night as waiters carried silver trays of champagne. At the center stood the event's crown jewel, a towering sculpture of stacked crystal glasses filled with golden bubbles worth over $50,000. Executives mingled in tailored suits, laughter echoing against the skyline. Every detail screamed wealth and success. The company was celebrating its biggest contract yet, and no expense had been spared. But beneath the polite toasts and practiced smiles, not everyone came with good intentions. Some faces in that glittering crowd hid envy behind charm, and all it would take was one careless act to turn perfection into disaster. Maya Brooks walked into the rooftop gala with quiet confidence. A senior project manager and one of the firm's best performers, she'd spent years proving her worth in a space that rarely welcomed her fully. Her dress, a sleek emerald green, shimmered under the lights, her curls pinned elegantly. She wasn't just present, she belonged. Yet she knew the undercurrent too well. The polite smiles that didn't reach the eyes, the way conversations ended when she approached. Maya had faced it all. The small comments, the subtle exclusions. And still, she carried herself with grace. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration of success, not survival. But somewhere between the champagne flutes and fake compliments, a familiar chill whispered that she was being watched. As the night went on, Maya tried to blend in, laughing softly, thanking colleagues, posing for photos. But she could feel the energy shift whenever she entered a circle. Whispers floated behind her like perfume. Near the bar, two women exchanged glances. Their smirks were small but sharp enough to cut. "Can you believe she got an invite?" one murmured, pretending to sip her drink. Maya caught the words, but she didn't flinch. She simply smiled, a calm that came from years of restraint. Still, the laughter that followed her felt heavier, crueler. The music seemed louder, the lights a little too bright, and as she turned toward the grand champagne tower, she didn't notice the footsteps quietly closing in behind her. It happened fast. A sudden shove from behind, forceful enough to knock her forward. Her hands reached out, but it was too late. The champagne tower collapsed in an explosion of glass and liquid gold. The sound echoed like thunder. Shards scattered across the floor, bubbles fizzed and spilled down her dress. For a moment, there was silence, pure, stunned disbelief. Then came the laughter. Phones appeared. Cameras flashed. Someone gasped, "Oh my God!" Maya stood there, drenched, her heartbeat roaring in her ears. Her beautiful dress clung to her like a wet shadow. The smell of champagne filled the air as her reflection shimmered in broken glass. And above it all she heard one voice, soft but cruel, whisper, "Guess she finally made a splash tonight." Every eye turned toward her. The music stuttered, then stopped completely. A senior manager barked, "Someone get this cleaned up." Not a single hand reached out to help. The women who had been whispering earlier stood off to the side, pretending to look shocked, their smirks barely hidden behind raised glasses. Maya straightened, breathing through the humiliation. Champagne dripped from her curls, her heels slipping slightly on the wet floor. She wanted to vanish, but instead, she met their eyes, steady, unbroken. "Are you okay?" one voice asked, half-hearted. She didn't answer. The laughter picked up again, nervous but cruel. No one knew it yet, but that moment, their mockery, their silence, was about to become the beginning of their biggest regret. The laughter slowly faded into background chatter. Maya said nothing, no tears, no shouting. She simply bent down, brushed a few glass shards from her dress, and walked to her handbag. Her fingers moved quickly, unlocking her phone, tapping the screen with calm precision. No one paid attention. They'd already dismissed her as the night's embarrassment. The music restarted, clinking glasses filled the air again. The party resumed as if nothing had happened. But under the golden lights, Maya's face was unreadable, too calm, too steady. While everyone laughed above their champagne, she hit send. Just one message, quiet, simple, deliberate. And in that moment, though no one realized it, control had quietly shifted into her hands. At first, it was barely noticeable. A buzz here, a vibration there. Guests glanced down at their phones, their smiles faltering for a second. Then another phone buzzed, and another. Conversations broke mid-sentence. Laughter stopped mid-breath. Whispers spread across the rooftop like wildfire. "Wait, is this real?" someone murmured. Screens glowed against pale faces. The same people who'd laughed minutes ago were now frozen in confusion. A nervous chuckle escaped a man near the bar. "It's gotta be a joke." But it wasn't, because with each new notification, the crowd's expressions turned from amusement to dread. Something was happening, something Maya had set in motion. And in the center of that glittering rooftop, she stood still, calm, patient, watching the shift begin. Then came the headline that stopped everything. Across every glowing phone screen, the same notification appeared. Breaking news: Maya Brooks, named executive director at Zenith Global. The rival firm, the industry's newest powerhouse, the one their company had been desperately trying to outbid for months. Maya's picture, taken earlier that week, smiled from the article, confident, powerful, unbothered. One by one, the whispers turned into gasps. Someone dropped a glass. It shattered like the tower she'd fallen into. The senior partners stared, pale and speechless. Their laughter from earlier now felt poisonous. The realization hit all at once. They had just humiliated the newest executive at their biggest competitor. And while they stood frozen in disbelief, Maya's phone buzzed again. A silent signal that the night's chaos was far from over. The next wave hit harder. Phones across the rooftop lit up once more, but this time it wasn't news. It was an email, sent from Maya's company address. Every executive, every manager, every intern had received it. Inside were files, screenshots, and recordings. Years of ignored complaints, whispered slurs, and accidental exclusions. Subject line: Culture of silence, the truth we hide. Gasps filled the air. The HR director turned pale, scrolling through attachments she thought were buried forever. Journalists began tagging the company online. The story was spreading in real time. Calls from headquarters came pouring in. The managing partner's voice cracked as he barked, "Get it to shut this down!" But it was too late. Every secret they'd protected to keep their image intact was now public. And the woman they'd laughed at stood right there, silent, powerful, untouchable. The rooftop was chaos. Some people cried, others argued, and a few tried to sneak away. The woman who had shoved Maya earlier stumbled toward her, eyes red, trembling. "Maya, please," she whispered. "We didn't mean—" Maya turned slowly, her gaze steady, her voice quiet but sharp. "You meant it the moment you laughed." Silence swallowed the rooftop. No one dared move. The woman lowered her head, shame burning brighter than the city lights behind her. For the first time, Maya didn't feel small. She felt seen, not as their token or their target, but as herself. And as she stepped back, heels clicking against the marble floor, everyone around her realized the real fall that night wasn't hers. The rooftop that once glowed with laughter now pulsed with panic. Guests scattered, murmuring into their phones. Some slipped out quietly, afraid to be seen in photos. The managing partner barked orders no one followed. In the corner, the PR team huddled, typing frantically as breaking news alerts flashed across their screens. Reporters were already outside. The firm's name trended on every platform, headlines multiplying by the minute. "What happened?" one assistant whispered. "Everything," another replied. The champagne that had sparkled moments ago now dripped from the ruined tower like melted gold. Every secret they'd tried to bury had risen to the surface, shimmering under the city lights, their empire crumbling in real time, built on glass and silence. Through the noise and chaos, Maya stayed composed. She picked up her clutch, fixed her posture, and began walking toward the elevator. Behind her, voices clashed. Excuses, apologies, panic. But she didn't look back. The city stretched out before her, glittering with promise. Her reflection appeared in the glass doors, strong, calm, and finally free. The broken tower stood behind her like a monument to everything she'd endured and outgrown. As the elevator doors slid open, she took one last breath of cool night air. The sound of her heels faded slowly, a rhythm of quiet triumph. Maya hadn't fallen. She'd risen. And this time, nothing and no one would dim her shine again. By morning, the video had gone viral. Millions watched as Maya stood drenched but unbroken while chaos erupted around her. Hashtags filled timelines, journalists dissected every frame, and commentators praised her composure. "Maya Brooks, the woman who refused to stay silent," read one headline.